All right, the dilations we're going to talk about here today are a little bit more complicated, but I want you to keep in mind that we're going to follow the same steps that we were following before, which are to count the distance from that center, from that point that we're building from, and then we're going to multiply that distance by our scale factor. And that's our new distance we're going to go. The main difference here is that now we are building from a new point. So I'm going to start by writing down the coordinates. I'm going to call this point A and this point B. So I'll go ahead and write down those coordinates, but keep in mind that we're not going to use these coordinates to figure out where our new points are going to go. So, first of all, you should know that this is an enlargement since the scale factor is 2. That's greater than 1, so that means that it's going to get bigger. My segment length is going to get longer. The difference here is that the point we're building from has changed. The point that we're building from is now 2, -3. So let's graph that point 2, -3. This is our new point that we're building from. So when I count my distances are going to count from that building point of 2, -3. So for this example, I'm going to write it all out so that you can see what that looks like. So let's start with point A. A was, you are here at 2, -3 at that green point. From that green point, we're going to count how far we move. From that green point, we are moving up. Remember, not from the origin, from that point in green. We are moving up, and we're moving up 1, 2. So it is 2 above that green point. And then to get to the rest of A, we're going to move to the right. And how much are we going to move to the right? Well, we're going to move to the right 1. So that is our distance that A is from my center of dilation, from 2, -3, from that green point. And so now our next step is to take those distances and multiply them by our scale factor. Multiply them by 2. It's the same thing we have been doing, except now we're building from a different point. That's the difference. So we're taking that distance and we're multiplying it by 2. So A prime is, multiply these by 2. Instead of 2 above, now we're 4 above. Instead of to the right 1, now we're to the right 2. Notice the coordinates aren't going to be a 4, 2. My distances are going to go 4 above and to the right 2. That's the tricky part of this. Keep your distances separate from where are the coordinates. Because we're going to start at that point at 2, -3. We're going to start at that point. You are here. And we are going to count our distances. 4 above and to the right 2. 1, 2, 3, 4 above and to the right 1, 2 takes us here for A prime. Now let's do the same thing for B. B was, let's count our distance from that center that we're building from. You are here. We're going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to the right 1, 2, 3. So 5 above and to the right 3. And now we're going to take those distances. That's what's going to get multiplied by 2. So since it's 5 above to the right 3, we're going to, for B prime, we're going to multiply those by 2. Instead of 5 above, now it's 10 above. instead of to the right 3, now it's to the right 6. So we're going to count 10 above and to the right 6, which will land us here for B prime. So that's my dilation. Remember, these directions are all from that central point of 2, 3. And now we're going to write down and look at the separate question of where's the x coordinate, where's the y coordinate. For A prime, my x coordinate is at 4 and my y coordinate is at 1. Again, notice those are different from my distances that I went. They're separate questions. Don't deal with the coordinates until you're done with the problem. X coordinate is 8, y coordinate is 7. So we're still following the same steps here of count your distances, multiply them by your scale factor. And those are your new distances. So now we're going to look at one more. I would say if you're taking a look at this one and you're comfortable with it, then you're probably in decent shape. So here are your new coordinates. We're going to put them on the graph. So we have 3, 3 for A. We have 6, 6 for B. And we have 9, 3 for C. Now that we have those coordinates, we're going to ignore them until the end of the problem, because we're going to deal all in directions from my center. So this is the point that I'm writing all those directions from. So I'm going to start with A. We're going to do A together, and then I want to see if you can come up with B. Our scale factor is 2/3 here. That should tell you that we have a reduction because our scale factor is less than 1 this time. That means it's a reduction. That means that all the points should get smaller. All the points should move closer. So point A. Point A was, let's count our distances. Again, our distance comes from this point. We are here. How do we get to A? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 above. And then we go to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we land at A. So 9 above and to the right 6. Now those distances are getting multiplied by 2/3. Notice I'm not touching my coordinates. I'm only working with distances. A prime is, well, let's multiply those by 2/3. So that's divide by 3, multiply by 2. So 9 above, well, take 9, divide by 3, that's 3, multiply by 2, that's 6. So now instead of being 9 above, 2/3 of that is going to be 6 above. And then instead of to the right 6, multiplied by 2/3, 6 divided by 3 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4. And so 6 above and to the right 4. Again, that's not the coordinates, that's my directions from that center point. So from that central point, that's my new directions to go. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 above, and to the right, 4, and wind up here. This is A prime. Again, notice those coordinates for A prime are completely different. The x coordinate is 1, the y coordinate is 0. It has nothing to do with the directions that we go. So we are building from that center point to get our directions to where we need to go. So pause here for a minute and try getting point B and point C. Okay, now to talk through point B and C real quick. Point B was up 12 and to the right 9 from that green point. Up 12 and to the right 9. So instead of up 12, 2/3 of that would be up 8. And then to the right 9, we're going to take 2/3 of that and go to the right 6. So we're going to wind up here is B prime. C was up 9 and to the right 12. Now we're going to multiply that by 2/3. So instead of 9 above this green point, instead of 9 above, we're going to multiply that by 2/3 and go 6 above. And instead of 12 to the right, multiply by 2/3, we're going to go 8 to the right. Here is where C prime should go. And again, notice the coordinates are separate from the directions that I'm going. For B prime, the x coordinate is 3, the y coordinate is 2. For C prime, the x coordinate is 5, and the y coordinate is 0. So these are about as complicated as they come because the center is at a different place. So we're building from a place that you're not used to building from, and the scale factor was a complicated fraction. So if you're good to go on this one, then you should feel pretty good, feel in pretty good shape. So your homework is going to involve some of these problems. Remember to be careful to distinguish when we're talking about directions from that building point and talking about what is the x coordinate, what is the y coordinate. Deal with them separately. Count your distances from that building point first, mark down all your points, then write down your coordinates.